Hello and welcome back. So in this video we're going to continue on with Lee getting the height maps set up in the world and our code adjusted to take advantage of those.
Right. It's going to be a lot easier when we get some heights in here so you can actually see what's going on. So let's go ahead and get some code in place. So I want to add a new item, and we're going to make a new class. We're going to call this class Terrain Generator. Go ahead and add it. Go ahead and clean up its name. And I can get rid of this. We're going to need the code base, demo framework, and we're going to need the Unity engine. So from here, let's go ahead and make its constructor to start off with. So, whoops, that worked well. Our constructor is gonna, for now, we're gonna come back and change this as well, but for now it's only going to take in two arguments. We're gonna take in the max height, and we're gonna take in a texture 2D, which we're gonna call the base map. So now we're going to need a couple of fields to save this information. So we're going to make a private max height, and it'd probably help if I made that an integer. And we're going to make a private texture 2D, and we're going to call this one base map. Let's go ahead and sign these. So I managed to hit the cap lock on my keyboard. And base map. Now, for now, this is just temporary code. We're going to come back and change all of this, but I want to get the map in and making some changes to our terrain as fast as we can. So this is why I'm going to do this now. So we're going to make a public, and we're going to return a float. This will be our method called getHeight. Now getHeight, let's go ahead and it's going to need two arguments. We're going to need a float for our X position and a float for our Z position. And to keep it really simple for now, we'll get our base map. Use the get pixel method. And we'll return height. So all we're going to do is we're going to take in an X and Z position. We're going to cast it to integers, which means we're going to lose precision, so we're not going to have the ability to get the information between points. We're just going to take anything that we can possibly get that's closest to our position and return it back. So, and because I just want one channel, I'm just going to pull the red channel, because our height map isn't going to return a color. I don't care about the color. I only care about a value between 0 and 1 between black and white. So because our maps are set up to have the same information in all three channels are the same. I can pull any one of them and get the information out that I need. So I'm just going to pull the red channel and I'm going to return that. So that will give us our get height. Now we need to go ahead into train demo and then come up to the top, switch back over to my notes real quick, and I want to go ahead up at the top. I'm going to make a public static train generator. I'm just going to call this one train, and I'm just going to make it a property. And what are you not happy about? Inconsistent accessibility property. Oh, I need to make it a public. There we go. Now it's happy. Inside of awake. Let's see, I've got it in start. So go ahead, inside of awake, we're going to initialize it. So we're going to go terrain equals new train generator. We need to send in our max height, which at this point I don't believe we have set up in our train patch. So, oh yeah, we do have a max height. So to get it back out, right now I've got it set as a private. I'm going to make this public and jump back over here. Now this is R&D code, so the placement of these values are by no means optimal or final. They're just the easiest places to put stuff without having to refactor and move stuff around every time we add new features. So helps if I call train patch. I'm going to see if flag got me on an extra one there. All right, so now I need to get our base map. Right now, we're going to have to add that to our project, but for now, I'll just call it resources.load. We'll call our map, I believe we named it UV original, or not UV, UK original.
Yeah.
And I don't need to put the extension, and I need to cast it as a texture 2D. And that's an integer. And what did I say? It was a float, most likely. No, integer.
Seems like all the way back over there it's a float. Yeah.
Yeah, this should be an integer. Which means I got to get rid of this. So we build all that out. That works well. All right, now to be able to utilize this in our code, our train patch has to make use of it. Inside of create grid, we have height being set to 0. Instead of setting it to 0 here, we can tell it to go to train demo, terrain, I need to capitalize that, and tell it to get height. And the height that we want to get is going to be based off of the same things that we're passing in here. So the nice thing with the get pixel method that we're relying on to return a value for our get height is that it comes with free wrapping. So it will automatically go ahead, and if our X or Z is outside of the bounds of that height map, it will automatically wrap it around for us. So we don't have to do any of that math calculation. We'll have to change that in an upcoming video, but for now we don't have to worry about it. I'm going to take all of this code, and I'm going to duplicate it down here for this height. Build it, make sure we've got no errors. Do you want to switch back
Sure.
into Unity
No,
for me?
no, we can't run it yet. You're going to need
Nope.
the.
I'm going to need to go down to textures here. Now, because we're loading a texture at runtime, I need to create a new folder called resources. Now, if you want to use resources.load, it only works on assets that you put inside of a folder called resources.
You want me to go ahead and drag that over?
If you could, please.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. There she is. And mouse is yours.
Okay. Wait for it to finish importing. Now, even before we can run this and test it, we have to make some changes to our UK original. One, our max size is set to 1024. We know it's a 2K texture, so we want to use all 2K. Otherwise, Unity will go ahead and compress it, and we'll only have a 1K texture, which means we'd lose half the data that we had, which is definitely undesirable in this case. The other thing that we want to do is switch from a texture to advanced. The reason we need to do this is there's a checkbox called read write enabled. If we do not check this, our texture is not considered a texture 2D, and we cannot use the get pixel functionality on it. It will cause an error. So we want to check this as well. We're going to leave, or actually, I want to turn generate bitmaps off, because for this purpose, this map is not going to be drawn to the screen. So we don't need to have bitmaps for it. So I'm going to turn those off. Go ahead and hit apply. So that looks like it went. If you want to go ahead and hit play.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what our max height is going to do to the scale of this, though. If we're even going to be able to see it. Does it look all flat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Oops.
so
Let me go up here and there you go.
probably not enough vertical scale on that. So go ahead and ignore that. See what that does. Go ahead and try that.
And still flat.
Something's definitely not picking up right, which means we're not getting any errors. So why are we not sampling correctly? What I'm going to do is set our train demo patch size down to 1. I don't want to generate a whole bunch of these. I want to make sure that this is getting called and what kind of values it's returning out.
Ready?
Yes. This might run a little bit slower as it's running a bunch of debug stuff now.
Matter of fact, I'll wait till it gets finished and then go ahead and maximize it so we can get a better view at the bottom.
Right. So everything's returning 0, it looks like.
Yes. All right, so jump back out of that. Back back over to here.
So that means we're not getting information in from here correctly. You want to pause this for a sec?
Sure. Okay, here we are.
All right. A little bit of experimentation and realized that it was actually displaying exactly what we told it to do. If we look at the Photoshop, which I can't bring up, can you
Yeah,
bring that up for me?
sure thing.
All right. We told Photoshop that we're starting off at a position of 0, 0, way over here, and drawing out from this part. Now, the problem is if you look here, and if we go off to the edge and wrap, which takes us back up to this corner over here, there's a whole lot of black, which is 0. So we're stuck in the ocean. So it was just drawing nothing but zeros for us. So it was doing what we told it to do,
Well,
but that's not exactly what we wanted it to do.
well, actually, even then, if you jump back into code.
Oh yeah, the max height part. It doesn't matter. It would have shown something without that, but
Well, yeah,
it
'cause we
helps.
got all the zeros out.
So, but we can also multiply our height by max height. But even then, right now, we won't get anything but 0 because 0 times anything is 0.
Right, right.
What we need to do is offset our world so we start off in the middle. So what we'll do is take our base map and we'll grab its width, divide it by 2, and add it to whatever x is. And we'll do the same thing with z. So we'll add our base map's height divided by 2. And we'll multiply it by max height. So now when we get something, we should actually start to see something.
Did you want to change anything back over in terrain patch yet, or do that?
I want to keep it fairly small so
Sure.
it renders fast and see if we get enough information from it at that point.
Whoa.
All right, so we're too low. Oh, you stopped it.
Oh, you want to go over to scene view and also point out the meshes?
Yeah, because our character is always going to fall through the world, so we can't really rely on our character.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You got a crazy height of
Right.
like 4 zillion.
Yep. So right now we've got a Jason inspired mountain height.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our map is so small that anything that high is just going to look really, really bad. So what we're going to do is go back over to our max height, and we're going to dial this down to something a little bit more reasonable, like 15. We'll build it again, and if you want to run it,
Hey.
now we start to see some information. So we're starting off in the center. Actually, I can't steer.
Yeah, I'm staring.
So, but there's several problems with this. One, the most notable, is the fact that it is repeating on every single tile. The other one is it doesn't look very, land, landform like. So we're going to address that in the next video.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll come back and we're going to get our terrain to spread across all of our tiles, and then we'll start addressing trying to make it look more like a terrain.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, that will wrap up this video. Thanks a lot.